It's time for episode 302 of the 3 Point Podcast. Hey, it's been a while, fellas, but it's good to be back in the saddle. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we'll get to it in just a moment. But I definitely want to remind everybody we're presented by the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center. Check out memorialhealthcare.org for everything they offer, including discounts for this upcoming year. We also want to thank our other partners, AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. We always love to send some sponsor love out there. So anytime you're in any of their businesses, definitely tell them you listen to the podcast, you appreciate it, and definitely, see what they have to offer. And, for example, insurance, check out Jacobs Insurance because, you're going to get the best deals around, and it goes for all our other sponsors with the services they offer. Let's get it going, boys. A lot to get into tonight, right?
Well, yeah, it's a leap year. So we're recording on February 29th.
Yeah, leap day.
But it's a leap day, leap year, but it should March Madness, right? I mean, that's what we're going to get going with, even though it is February 29th. March Madness well underway, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
for high school basketball anyway.
I coined it as February Frenzy because it's one of the rare years where, the district championships taking place on March 1st, but the other preliminary games in February. So let's start right off there, man. We got hanging in the future. I'm not going to talk too much about it because games got to be played tomorrow night, but there is a potential of a couple of area undefeated teams possibly meeting in the regional opener. I can't tell you. It's been probably since the mid 70s since there's been any kind of game like this in the tournament. I think Durand had a tremendous team back in the 70s, and they went over to Ovid Elsie. Ovid Elsie was undefeated. The Ovid Elsie gym, you've been there. It's a smaller gym, even though they have the upstairs balcony, which they don't use anymore with stands. It was jam-packed. There was people behind the baskets, 3 and 4 deep. It was incredible. And what I'm leading into is the potential of an undefeated Chesaning and an undefeated Langsburg team possibly seeing each other.
That'd be incredible. So both of them obviously have to wrap up their district. So you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch type of thing, but
absolutely.
That would be an amazing matchup. Area teams, not only they're both doing really well, they would both be undefeated in the region. I mean, and it would be, where did you say the game would be played?
Jackson, Lumen, Christie. And so it will be on Z92.5 irregardless. Chesaning's playing Ovid Elsie, so whoever wins that one is one of our core bases anyway. So we're going to that regional game no matter what. But it's at Lumen Christie. And, like you said, they got to get there. Langsburg started out. They had a bye, obviously, and they picked up a pretty hard-fought win over Perry, 69-55. Xander Woodruff, kind of a quiet 29. How can you say quiet 29? But it kind of was, I guess. Mitchell George chipped in 14. Chesaning made it to the district finals. They downed Montrose 67-32. Mason Struck in the regular season finale against Ovid Elsie, broke his nose, but he played, had a mask on protecting that beak, and had 18 points, played very well. Their point guard's been a 4-year starter, Nate Ferry. He had 14 points, and they're a fun team to watch. They really are. We had their head coach, Matt Weigel, on a little earlier on this podcast. They're playing well.
I really enjoyed talking. I thought that was a great conversation we had with him. I came leaving that interview with Coach Weigel. Like, I really like this guy. I'm really rooting for Chesaning come district time. So we had Langsburg's coach on too as well, Beebe.
Tim Beebe, right?
It should be an awesome matchup. It's like, Ted, it's got to be one of those moments where when you walk in that gym, it'll be filled with people from Langsburg, people from Chesaning, where you almost got to pinch yourself and wonder, is this really a game I'm calling? I mean, I never thought I'd see that. Knock on wood, we're not there yet. When people are listening to this, maybe this matchup has already been set. But like you said, 2 unbeaten teams from Shiawassee County or just outside of Shiawassee County, playing in a regional matchup. It does not seem real. It really does.
Well, they got to get by Friday night, and Chesaning's got to get by a good Ovid Elsie team that gave them a battle last Friday night. Ovid Elsie beat New Lothrop Wednesday evening, 42-34. Tucker Loynes and your favorite, Trice Tokar, Jared, had 10 points each. Flint Powers ended Durand's season, 81-65. Railroaders finished 19-5. Their best season since the one I was talking about, the 77-78 21-win squad. And Flint Hamady ended Corona's season. I think the Cavaliers played maybe even a little better till the very end than I thought they would against the Hawks. It was a one possession game with just a hair over a minute to go, Corunna down, and then Hamady went on a quick little streak to close it out. Like I said, 46-37, but Braylon Social led the way with 16 points in that one, so the Cavaliers finished 500 on the season.
They missed their chance to have the just like football chance. Those are always classic when you have a football matchup and then you meet up again.
Those are a gut punch, are what those are. I mean, I've had to hear that when we've lost Lake Fenton. I'm sure, Matt, you probably heard that in a couple of bigger games, against South Christian back in your days. So it's a gut punching chant when you hear that.
It is, but it's a classic. So what was I going to ask you? Chesadane with Mason Struck.
Yeah.
He's playing, right? I mean, broken nose. He's just going to put a mask on, right?
Yeah, he had a mask on the other night, and he's playing. I was talking to his mom, who's a scorekeeper, and he had a banged up elbow on that fall to the floor. Jeez. And she was more concerned about that, but he didn't show any ill effects. He had some awful sweet moves around the basket, and he shoots a good jump shot too. So it's going to be a pretty interesting matchup tomorrow night against Ovid Elsie, a game you can hear right here on Z92.5 or here on Z92.5. And girls basketball. Yeah. They're going to be moving into their districts next week. Ovid Elsie down Genesee Christian 62-31. The Marauders 19-2 on the season now for Coach Cunningham over there. He picked up recently his win number 200. So he's got a nice career going on in Marauderville.
It's a lot of W's. I was going to ask too, before you move on to your other thing, I had two things.
Yeah.
Corunna's first game, was it against Flint Southwestern?
No. Well, yes, it kind of was.
So that's what I was confused. I saw it as Flint Southwestern, but it's like, are they the Dragons or something?
It's really strange. What are they called? Now I'm drawing a blank. It's not Flint Southwestern. They go to school at the Southwestern building.
Okay. Right?
But it's the Flint Jaguars.
It's the Jaguars.
The only school in Flint city limits. It's the only one left, the storied programs of Flint Northern and Flint Central and Flint Northwestern. They're all gone, and it was an interesting basketball game. They showed up wearing black uniforms. They were supposed to be the whites. So Corunna immediately shot 2 technical free throws and the ball to start the game and never looked back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not to hammer on the Jaguars, but my parents were Flint Southwestern alums.
Right.
And then, we played Flint Southwestern was still a thing when I was in high school. So we played them. And then when I saw advertised as they played Flint Southwestern, and then I saw the uniforms and it said Jaguars, and I was like, "Wait, what's happening here? They didn't just change over to the Jaguars. There must be something else going on." So, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah,
well, I could have looked it up, but I was like, you know what, Ted'll clear this.
Yeah, I kind of know it, but other media out there still calling it Flint Southwestern, so I get the confusion.
I'm looking up Flint Southwest. It's like they're a community. It's like one of the weird schools where they're considered a community. I don't understand how that works, but what I'm seeing is Flint Southwestern Jaguars community is how their Facebook is titled. So
very confusing. Why would they change their nickname? That's crazy.
Right.
Jaguars are a perfect nickname, man. That's like I don't know a single other high school maybe in the entire country that's the Jaguars. But,
well, it was an interesting game, and Corunna won it anyway. And I'll just wrap up the prep spotlight again. Brought to you by Jacobs Insurance Agency, by the way. Owasso swim team. Hey, tremendous season this year. They posted a 6-0 record in the Flint Metro League regular season, and then claimed the undisputed championship by winning the league meet. Trojans won the 400-yard free relay and the meet's final event, and Blake Binger won the 200 freestyle. So, Owasso, they have some difficulties sometimes in some of the sports, but man, send some accolades out where they pick up the championship in swimming. Congratulations. That's a big achievement.
It is. You don't hear about swimming and diving very often, but
right.
It's a cool sport. I don't know if have you ever been to a meet?
I have. They're very exciting.
It is very exciting, especially if it's, a couple good teams,
Yeah, you get some swimmers coming down the wire, and like the 200, and it's just a touch out to win. It's like when you watch it on the Olympics, but it's cool being actually at the pool. I was at Corunna's Olmsted pool a couple times, and yeah, it's exciting. But it is hot and humid in there too.
It is hot. You have to step out every once in a while and say, I gotta get out of here for a minute.
It's like the steam at Memorial Healthcare.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that really does it for the prep spotlight. But big district action tomorrow night. It's Langsburg taking on Stockbridge, which, Jared, I mean, you got a little scouting report, and Stockbridge is the real deal themselves, right?
Yeah, from what I've heard, it's like, I mean, outside of maybe Chesaning, it could be Lanesburg's toughest test, leading up to maybe a potential trip to the Breslin. So that's what makes the districts, there's always a tough team in your district. It feels like a lot of these teams end up making runs to the Breslin. It's like, man, we won a game in the district final by 1 point. That kind of seems like what it could be like for Lanesburg tomorrow night. From what I've heard, Stockbridge has a stud center that's 6'7", 6'8", and that's a team you never expect to be good. Stockbridge, from my days, we would beat them by 30, 40 in football every year. So it's really cool to see Lanesburg, who's not normally there, and a school like Stockbridge, who the winner of that's got basically a pretty clear path to the Breslin outside of a big matchup against Chesaning.
Or Ovid-Elsie, because don't count Ovid-Elsie out against Chesaning tomorrow night. That's the game 3. Chesaning beat them the first 2 times, and the old cliche is it's tough to beat a team 3 times, but Chesaning does have the home court, so we'll see what happens. So it'll all shake down tomorrow night in district final championship action. All right, we'll be back.
One last thing before we sign off. I could have looked it up again, but how's Freeland doing? We've heard a lot about Freeland in the prep spotlight. Are they still alive?
They have a big game tomorrow night against the last, could potentially be Saginaw Arthur Hill's last basketball game tomorrow on Friday. So as we know, Saginaw Arthur Hill and Saginaw High, kind of sad. I mean, Matt, this is probably unbelievable for you to hear. Ted, obviously you as well, for living in this area for the last 40, 50 years, mid-Michigan. I mean, Matt, it was kind of Saginaw High and Saginaw Arthur Hill's heyday back in the early 2000s. When Jason Richardson was rolling through there and those type of guys. So now it's crazy to think that all-time rivalry, the High versus the Hill, is no longer a thing, unless the High and the Hill both win and they could face each other in regionals. But yeah, it's a big matchup for Freeland tomorrow night. I'll be there. Versus the High, the Hill. My brain is like scattered tonight. I don't know if it's because we're late. We took a week off, but I feel like I'm not bringing my A game. So next segment, once we get talking to some sports potpourri, I'll have my A game for everybody. So
all right, take a drink of water, regroup, and then we'll be back right after this with our potpourri.
So the sports potpourri. I'm going to start it off with just a few notes I had over the last couple of weeks of things that I was dying to talk about on the podcast, but didn't have the opportunity to do so. Number one, this is one way out of left field. Maybe you guys will feel some way about this, maybe not. Otherwise, it really just bothered me. I got to say it. So Usher's halftime performance, we talked a lot about it. We liked it for the most part. Within a day or two of us recording, basically it came out that the guitarist, I think her name is like her, H.E.R.
Yeah, her.
Was air guitaring the halftime show.
Yeah.
What?
Not playing. I don't know why this bothered me so effing much. Maybe it's because of the fact that when she came on the screen, like, who the hell is this? Then she proceeds to, shred on the guitar for 30 seconds on a solo. I don't have a problem with lip syncing. Usher will do it. Everybody will do it. Normally it's because they're performing or dancing or doing a whole other thing. You sign on to do the Super Bowl. Your entire thing is that you're a guitarist. Apparently, I don't know who she is. And you don't even play the guitar, a solo, which is like technically you can't even mess it up. It's just shredding on a guitar for 20 seconds. You don't even play it. You basically are out there as an actress, mimicking, strumming a guitar, dancing around. Something about it really grinded my gears for like 2 or 3 days, to the point where I mentioned to like a coworker, like, man, are you just like getting old or something? What is it about this that's like bothering you so much? Am I crazy? Why does that bother me so much? And what is your guys' overall thoughts on just lip syncing and not actually performing in general? Because to me, that was a shit show. You go out there and all of America's eyes are on you. You have 20 seconds of fame. She's obviously earned it. You don't trust your guitar playing abilities enough to just shred on a solo for 15, 20 seconds. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
Performances aren't even a thing anymore. It's acting. What is this? Like WWE bullshit. I don't get it. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
I'm not as fired up as you are about it, because I do remember seeing, I'm pretty sure the night of the Super Bowl, I saw some people like recording video and being like, they must know how to play a guitar, because they were like, look at how she's doing this. She's not even really playing those notes. Like, people were like looking at her fingers and being like,
yeah,
she's not even playing the notes that are being played. So yeah, I remember seeing it, and I just thought that, that doesn't surprise me, because like you said, a lot of times in those performances, they lip sync or they only sing one line. and then someone else sings because they're also dancing, especially someone like Usher who's roller skating and doing whatever the heck else he's doing. You know, he's not going to be able to sing every single note. I get what you're saying, though. If you're that good of a guitarist, you would think you could go up there and just play the guitar. But then we saw in that performance, Alicia Keys, when she came out, her first note was like way off. So, you know, I can see both ways. I think it's a bad look to fake play the guitar, air guitar, but also, like, I get it. You don't want to go up there and completely screw up. I don't know.
Yeah, I've never heard of that with an instrument. Have you guys? I've never heard of it with
I'll weigh in on it. I mean, I get the lip sync thing. I'm a big fan of it. No, but I understand it because they're out dancing all over the place. Okay, I can deal with that. The guitar thing, it's nothing but bullshit. Come on. Right. I've never heard of such a thing. Are you kidding me? She should be embarrassed. And the thing is, she's very talented. I mean, I've seen her perform in Real, and she's good. So why would they do that? I don't know.
It's I'll move on to the next because I got a lot to get out. So we'll move on. But like flat out, like, dude, think of Prince's halftime performance. The guy's singing, he's dancing, he's probably orchestrated the whole entire damn thing. He shreds on the solo for 30 seconds. Awesome shot where they have the tarp fly up and the light shine on him. We're way past the Super Bowl, but my God, I don't know what it was about that. I wish we could have recorded an instant reaction as soon as I found out that news. Yeah. But what the hell, man? I don't know. Again, I'll never accomplish anything like that. I'll never perform at the halftime of the Super Bowl, but my God, if I did, like, that'd be like if our podcast made it big, and then all of a sudden I like lip sync our podcast. Like, it just makes no sense. What are you doing?
Pre-record it.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, next one, real quick. It's also a Super Bowl week. Okay, so I'm sure you guys saw the Waste Management had a big weekend where people were going crazy. People were pissed. Apparently 30 hospitalizations. One person, or 30 blackouts. Excuse me. Another person fell off the grandstands at the stadium hole. And there was a lot of pushback from it. Players were pissed. Everybody was pissed. Essentially, what I was reading about it is that because it rained the whole weekend, and I was there, and normally where you sit and where you watch, if you're not at the stadium hole, is there's a lot of embankments around the greens and in other areas that are high foot traffic areas. So because of the rain, it basically made those areas muddy and forced people into high foot traffic areas that cause a lot of this, drinking, sliding down the mud hills, people getting drunk, throwing beers, everything. A little bit too much. How does the PGA Tour and the Waste Management counteract that? A week later, they basically announced, we're doubling the entry fee to get in. It's like now tickets are now $500 instead of $250. Are you freaking joking me? That is such a easy way out to solve the things that you guys did not solve in years prior. I mean, I went to this thing 2 years ago. There is no water to be found. There's no free water. You're on the back nine. I'm kidding you. You're walking for 10, 15, 20 minutes where you can find a concession stand where the lines are around the corner. It's a joke how that tournament was ran. Players are bitching. Zach Johnson had the famous thing where he walked out to the tee. Somebody yelled something about him being a Ryder Cup crappy leader, crappy captain. He gets mad, starts yelling at the crowd. Next thing you know, he slices his tee shot. As he's walking out the tee box, a fan goes, well, I guess it doesn't help being an asshole. Everything about this tournament and the players it's a problem. And to me, upping the price so that basically now I can't go, but now it's like the only people that are in Ted's pay range can afford to go to this thing. Older people, basically ruining everything that made this tournament awesome, which is that it's the People's Open, quote unquote, the People's Open. Now you have to be basically a millionaire to get into this goddamn event. It's a joke. I don't know. What did you guys think? Was it overboard? Yes. Was this a stupid thing to do to basically screw over people like me who just want to go and enjoy golf and have a few beers? Yeah, it's ruining this event, and it makes me sad because it really is an all-time event that just because of one bad weekend with bad weather, people are going way overboard in corrections when, dude, just ride it out. Get a few more security people, get a few more water tents out there, and this tournament is fine. No need to do a massive overhaul. It basically ruined everything you've built over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Just stupid.
Yeah, I saw SVP did one of his segments on his show was One Big Thing, and he did a One Big Thing on that tournament because he obviously worked at the Golf Channel. He's a big golf guy. He's been there a lot, and this was before the news of the ticket price hike. So, but he was more talking about the overall. Basically what you're talking about, that the Waste Management Open is super cool for fans who want to go and not be at the Masters, all professional and golf clap, everything, no cell phones. This is a fun one to go to. And, he was basically saying like, it just got out of control. So to your point, maybe limit beer sales a little bit. Like I know that weekend they stopped beer sales. So that's what kind of made people start going crazy too. They started like mosh pitting basically at the holes and stuff like that. You just got to figure out a system. I don't know what it would be. I don't have the answers, but where you just limit beer sales or something, and raising the prices of the entrance fee is basically, it's telling like the normal people like us, nope, you can't come because you're the problem. And it just seems like that's not the way to do it. So it's more security guards and stuff like that. But you don't want, because it is like the professional golfers, it's their livelihood, it's their profession. You don't want people chucking beers at them when they're trying to tee off and stuff like that. So I don't know. You got to figure out like a middle ground. And like with a lot of things, whether it's faster horses or some of these other big events, people end up ruining stuff. That's what sucks, is people end up ruining stuff. And then what's the event supposed to do? I mean, if the professional golfers are going to stop coming to play, I mean, that ruins the event too. So,
that's ultimately what it comes down to, is people are stupid. I mean, come on. I mean, it's like a few bad apples, spoil the bunch, but the reaction of doubling the price, that is crazy. I mean, hire some more security, maybe like you said, cut back on the alcohol at a certain time of the day or something, but it's definitely way overreacted. Well, now I got a question
or
for
like
you.
You said, even Jared, they have more water stands, have more free water, have even, I don't know, some sort of snacks for people to soak up the booze. Like there's stuff you could do.
Well, why wouldn't they do something like that? Because that's a no-brain moneymaker, right? I mean, you would think, like when the Buick Open used to have the event, I mean, they had volunteer groups from the different schools and churches. They would set up stands and sell things. I mean, I know it sounds old school, but what the heck? You can make money at it, even if you have to share some with the people that run the tournament. I don't get it.
Again, it's, believe me, money is of no, like I've been in the like pro shop there.
Right.
One, you can't move. There's so many people. Two, like I had my brother like, hey, could you grab me a hat? Like I saw a hat I liked online. He's like, dude, literally the pro shop has been picked clean. There is a billion people at that goddamn course. Wow. It's unbelievable how many people are there. And money, they must be making money hand over fist, because like I said, there is no like courtesy water stand. There's no courtesy snack stand like you're saying. It's like, dude, you make enough money, get us some goddamn water out here.
Right.
It was like, I remember walking aimlessly. My buddy led me on a basically a wild goose chase trying to find Brooks Koepka. Let's go watch him play. And we walked this whole goddamn course. Like I felt like I was going to die because there's no water. I didn't pound a beer in me. Like, it's just a joke. It's just sad.
Yeah.
I don't want them to ruin that tournament because it's awesome. Right. And it just seems like it's the usual thing where you have a couple bad apples, a couple things go viral on social media, a couple idiot PGA players who are just being assholes. If you don't like it, don't play in it. And now it's overblown. I worry that's the case. We'll see come next February. All right, next thing. And this is more to today's like current news, so that we're finally caught up. Tom Izzo. People are bitching about Tom Izzo. I'm going to defend him. Maybe one of you guys don't agree with what I'm about to say, but this is where I'm at with it. I know I don't watch every in and out of every goddamn college basketball game. I've watched maybe 5 this year. But I think that makes me honestly more adequate to judge Tom Izzo in the job he's done coaching this team, because I'm not in the everyday nitty-gritty grime, reading the way right, the way left takes on the Michigan State basketball team with every goddamn win, every goddamn loss. Here's the thing. Tom Izzo is a legendary coach. Just last year, he got this team to the Sweet 16. 3-4 years ago, he had Cassius Winston's team poised to win the national championship. They had won 4 straight games down the stretch that year against top 20 teams, including a game at number 9 Maryland. They were legit. This was not long ago. This was 3-4 years ago. I mean, tell me that's like your lifespan of a college student. It's like, that's really nothing, man. The last 3-4 years have gone by in a flash. People are taking this same guy, basically saying he's lost a step. Oh, he's not wearing a suit anymore. He's not doing this, not doing that. All because of this one goddamn freshman, Xavier Booker. I have no problem with him. He seems like a damn good player. But people are basically telling Tom Izzo how to coach this kid who is 17, 18 years old, trying to join a team that's older than the Detroit Pistons are. Second oldest team in the entire Big Ten. Experience, and you're trying to get this guy to play him like 30-plus minutes a game. And it all came to a breaking point this past week when Michigan State blew a lead to Ohio State. Brutal loss. Basically put Michigan State on the bubble.
Yes, it did.
Where I'm at, people are coming for Tom Izzo's throats because of his decision where he started that kid and then pulled him, didn't play him last 17 minutes of the game. By the way, when he finished the game with 7 points, 3 blocks, and 3 rebounds in 18 minutes. He did have a plus 11 while he's on the court. This is all beside the point. I think the thing that irritates me the most is that State fans and us, we've done it time and time again. You know, with Jim Harbaugh, I questioned him. I probably said he should have been fired at some point during that 2020 season. You just got to let these fuckers coach. Let Tom Izzo coach. Why do we have to be like armchair quarterbacks about everything? And we have a podcast. This is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that I'm not living and dying on each game of this Michigan State team, and I'm just saying I trust Izzo and how he's handling a freshman and how he's using his moments, just like how John Beilein, remember that Michigan team that made it to the national championship with Trey Burke. Mitch McGary didn't. We were bitching about the same thing. Mitch McGary hardly played that regular season. As soon as tournament time came, John Beilein knew when to press that button. Mitch McGary inserted into the starting lineup. Team takes off. I could see something very similar happening here with Michigan State. Michigan State is not nearly the damn team that Michigan was in that same season. But I think Booker inserting him late into the lineup, you saw how happy the team was when he did play. I mean, they're going nuts when he's getting announced for the starting lineup. When he hits a 3, crowd goes crazy, bench goes crazy. They like this guy. But what really made me believe that I truly think Tom Izzo is doing the right thing is very first thing they come out and interview him like next day of practice, whole media gallery around, bitching on everybody, basically says, why don't you ask Xavier Booker if he's okay with how I'm dealing this? He said he basically doesn't lose a single wink of sleep when he thinks about how he's handled the Booker situation. And I'm here for it, man. Tom Izzo knows how to get the most out of his teams. We saw it last year. Team that struggled up and down. I think, last thing, and then I'll let you guys get your thoughts out. Michigan State fans are absolute lunatics, man. If you remember just a week or two ago when Michigan State beat Michigan, there was a picture flying around on Twitter of Cohen Carr, who's horrible. Basically a slam dunk he had on a breakaway. I saw the caption on this post from a popular Michigan State fan site that went crazy viral in our world that said #iconic. Cohen Carr, a dunk against a cruddy 7-win Michigan team, quote unquote, iconic. That's how they view these players. I don't get it. Why are they so out on Izzo? I haven't watched every damn game this year.
Right.
Hand up on that. But flat out, dude, it's Tom Izzo. Trust him, and with the way he's handling these players, for God's sake, he's a legend, and he still is a legend. I don't care if he's 70 years old. He still can coach a goddamn basketball game. That's where I'm at. What do you guys think?
Well,
let me just interject, man. I'll let you do the other side of the coin.
Because you know I'm going to be the other side of the coin.
Well, no, I'm not even going to comment on Izzo. I you know how I feel about that.
Yeah,
Jared is shot out of a cannon. I mean, we got to count up the GDs in this podcast so far. He threw an F-bomb in there.
I know.
He is fired up, man. I mean, this is incredible. So
I've been built up, man. I've been built up.
You are. You're worked up.
Fired up. We can't take a week off from the podcast again. Jared's gonna explode if we do that again.
No kidding.
I don't know how to explain. There's certain things that just that will drive me up a wall. I don't know what it is. Tom Izzo. I never thought I'd see the day. Something about the way they're acting about this goddamn guy and criticizing every move he's making as a coach. It's driving me up a wall. I can't stand it.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I think you're right in the sense of he's obviously a legend. He's the best coach in Michigan State history. One of the best coaches in college basketball history. You know, you can't argue any of that stuff. You said that he knows how to get the best out of all of his teams. I don't know if that's necessarily true because they've had a lot of short or quick exits in the tournament with some really good teams. So, I mean, and they've only got the one national championship. Yes, a bunch of Final Fours.
Right.
I know that. But only the one national championship with a lot of – he always has top classes. He always has a ton of experience because he has a lot of guys who stick around for 2 or 3 years. It's not a bunch of one and dones. So I would be probably pretty frustrated as a Michigan State fan too when you see all these rosters of guys that are now in the NBA and, you know, a guy like Cassius Winston. And I know the COVID
Aaron
year
Jackson's always the one they throw out, that Syracuse game.
Right. Yeah, and, you know, the COVID year, that Michigan State team, they very well could have made a run, but whatever, you know, the COVID thing happened or whatever.
Right.
But as a fan, I probably would be pretty frustrated too, because he has set the bar this high. Yeah, he's done it to himself. That, you know, it's basically, if you don't make a Final Four as a Michigan State team, it's a failure, you know? So, and they've had a lot of really good teams who have not made the Final Four, and it doesn't look like this team is going to do it. And they were preseason number 2 or whatever they were. Yeah. So, I mean, they're 17-11. They finished with Purdue at Purdue.
Yeah.
Probably
Saturday night. Yeah.
and then Northwestern, Indiana, two kind of toss-up games. So
50-50.
I mean, the committee is going to do everything they can to keep Michigan State in the tournament, to keep that streak going, to keep Tom Izzo in there. And we all know that. They're going to do everything they can to keep that storyline going. But if they lose those last 3 games, it's going to be tough to justify putting them in, even in the play-in, you know, so like they were a couple of years ago.
Against UCLA.
Right. So I don't know. No, should you be like out on him as a fan, like fire this guy, get him out of here? I don't know about that, but it would be pretty frustrating. And I think the big thing that I see, at least on Twitter, is the most I talk, I have a few Michigan State fans that are friends. The big thing they say is it seems like he's not adapting to the new college basketball, whatever that is, using the transfer portal. You brought up Mitch McGarry. Sure. Part of the reason McGarry didn't play that year was because he had some injury issues. It wasn't that Beeline just like wasn't playing him. He was a true freshman, but he had some injury issues. And then once he got healthy, he had that tournament run. It was like, geez, this guy's a stud.
Yeah.
Right.
Izzo just doesn't like to play freshmen. Izzo just does not like to play freshmen unless it's Miles Bridges or, unless it's like someone, it's like, you cannot keep this guy off the court. I think that's a fair criticism of him. He's very loyal to his guys, his coaches, and his upperclassmen. When it's like, you have a stud freshman, I don't care if this guy's been there 3 or 4 years. This freshman's better. Play the freshman. And Izzo just, hasn't adapted in that sense. What the hell do I know? I'm just a dude on a podcast. He's one of the best coaches in college basketball history. But I think that's a fair criticism of him, not using the transfer portal and getting some like real talent in that sense.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the Cassius Winston a few years ago. What are you talking about? A few years ago, you got Cassius Winston making a run. Well, a few years ago, Juwan Howard had his team in the Elite Eight too. Right. So if you're only going off of that, obviously Juwan doesn't have the resume that Tom Izzo does. But if you're only going off of that, it's like, well, actually I saw a stat. I should have screenshotted it. Over the last, I think it was like 5 years. It was basically Juwan's whole tenure. They have like the second best record in March of any team in the country because of the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight and stuff. And Michigan State's way down at the bottom. So anyway, I think it's fair to be pretty frustrated as a fan because they've had so many good teams. And that national championship was what?
24 years ago.
24 years ago? That's
right.
That's a long time ago.
well, one thing we know for sure, as long as he's coaching, he's not changing. There's no way that Tom Izzo's changing. So Michigan State fans, you either take it and love it, or you're going to regret when you run him out of town. But I will say this, that was a fair question to ask about Booker. I mean, I think sometimes these writers, and I get it, I've been in that room before, it's intimidating, but you got to ask the question.
Especially with a guy like Izzo.
Right. You got to ask the question. It was a fair question, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. And he played well in the 17 minutes that he played. But
exactly.
Again, this is flat out why it's like I don't watch every game. Let me just put this out on paper. Basically what people are saying about this.
Yeah.
Tom Izzo's entire track record, Final Fours, national championships, NBA players, they basically are saying that this 17, 18-year-old kid who they don't know anything other than the fact that he had a star on his rankings when he came to Michigan State is like, they're basically deciding that this kid, we know from watching, 5-10 minutes at a time, we know better than Tom Izzo, he should be playing.
Right.
Like it's just the fact that this is a 17 teenager. He's got to be coached. You can't just trot him out there, play him 30 minutes a game and say, yep, we did it. We coached him. That's the best you can get out of him. I think the way that Tom Izzo has been playing this game, I think maybe partially because of how anti people have been toward it. Some of it is stubbornness, I think.
He's probably
unwilling to play this kid. Maybe there is a part of that. But at the end of the day, I don't blame him if that is the case. These Michigan State fans have been spoiled, man. Final Four. It's like, just let him coach. Whatever. If he's lost a step, so be it. You live with it. They act like this team is the freaking dream team. Dude, is there an NBA player on this roster? Honest to God, I don't know if there is.
Maybe
AJ Hoggard,
Tyson Walker, but
maybe. It's like, what are we talking about? Cohen Carr, just because he throws down slam dunks? Like, let Tom, basically you're deciding this ragtag group, I'm siding with them over the legendary coach. To me, on the outside, that's what people who are going anti-Izzo and saying, play this guy, play that guy. That's what that says to me. Maybe I'm the idiot in the room who's not questioning the 70-year-old, who was, like you said, Matt, unwilling to embrace the transfer portal, which, my God, this team could have used a couple of those guys.
Yeah.
Veteran, even more veteran leadership, guys who could maybe shoot on this roster. They needed it. But flat out, I'm going to ride and die with Tom Izzo. He's a legend. One thing I will say, dude, put on the goddamn suit and tie again. What are we doing? That's Tom Izzo. That's who you are. You said how he never changes. He changed. The one thing he changed is the one thing that you can't change. I hate the way that the world is moving, man, where people wear jumpsuits now to coach. Like, you go to a high school basketball, guys are wearing like sweatpants in Jordans to coach high school basketball nowadays. Tom Izzo is coaching college basketball in a windbreaker. Dude, put on a damn suit. That's one thing I will argue. If people want to argue that, like, I will have a pitchfork for that. Put on a goddamn suit. If you want to
Jared needed this podcast to get some stuff. I feel bad for his girlfriend having to deal with him the last 2 weeks without this podcast to go. I mean, you must have just been awful. The suit thing, it's funny you say that.
What do you think of it? Yeah.
I think the suit things, because I say the same thing about, like, on TV, news anchors, sports anchors. Right. I think it's goofy when they're in a suit and tie. If you're doing something like the presidential election or something, sure, get dressed up. But sometimes I think, like, on Sports Center, why do you have to be in a suit and tie? If you're on some other, like, fantasy football show, you don't need to be in a suit and tie. It's not that professional. Look nice, of course. Same thing with coaching. If you want to put a suit and tie on, that's fine. But no, I like Juwan's look with a nice, quarter zip and the Jordan logo and stuff. And I think I would rather be comfortable. You see Buzz Williams sweating through. He's always got like a 4-piece suit, is sweating through. Bruce Pearl always, like, has to rip off his jacket because he's sweating through. No, be comfortable. Be over there in your Jordans and your windbreaker pants or whatever. But maybe I'd be curious, Ted, you want to see the suit and tie, I'm guessing.
No, I'm going to say I don't give a damn what they wear. I have no feeling for it at all. I don't.
That's unbelievable.
Well, here's my take, though, on sports in general, guys. I mean, here we have a podcast. We talk sports. I just keep seeing, we'll talk college sports specifically. I just keep seeing it going into a deep hole that they're never going to get out of, and we've asked for some of it. This whole college football playoff thing, I'm not trying to get off topic, but, now they're talking about even expanding it more and more changes. Right. And and then it's going to lose the entire allure of what we did have, and I was a big proponent of it. You can go back and check the tape. I wanted a playoff. There's no doubt about it. But, once they start stuff like that, then it just steamrolls. It's just like nil. There was no control of it. The NCAA doesn't know what they're doing. You've heard me on that soapbox before. So I sit back right now. I've kind of lost my passion, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't care. I'll still watch it. It's still fun to watch, but wear whatever the hell you want to wear, one and dones, pay them whatever you want. Who cares?
This is you just proved my point, man. I love it.
Yeah.
The sport has changed. The things that used to matter, like something as small as a coach showing up in sweatpants and a sweatshirt to coach a basketball game and, Air Panda Jordans. Mm-hmm. In the fact that little small thing that now changed, now the molehill starts. Now the snowball starts going down the hill. You give an inch, you give a mile.
That's
Put
true.
on a suit. Put on a suit, man. Calipari still puts on his suits. I love it. Rick Pitino, all white. Wow, that's my favorite coach in college basketball right now. So,
Pitino. Pitino, all of his scandals and everything, but he's got the suit on, so he's good to go. No, it's kind of like back to the Waste Management Open. They let it get out of control, and now they're putting all these crazy regulations when all they needed to do was have some guidelines, some hard set rules. Maybe that's how it is with the NIL and the transfer portal. It's out of control. I mean, you see like Ohio State this offseason football. They're just offering dudes left and right bags of money, and they're just bringing guys in, and they're offering. You're hearing coaches say, that it's getting frustrating because you have to year after year recruit even your current players, because your current players in the offseason will come up to you and be like, "Hey, this team over here is offering me X amount of dollars because they're saying I can start." Do you want me to stay at your school? And it's like, I already recruited you to come to this school. Why do I have to continue to recruit you to stay here? And it's getting out of control. And, yes, I think we've talked about NIL quite a bit. I think we were all on board with it to some degree. Like, these guys should be able to make some money, but now it's just getting out of control. And
absolute joke.
It's definitely changing the game. I'm all for the playoff expansion. I really, really hope that they don't go up to 24 teams or, do something, because then it will really change. I even saw March Madness. They're talking about adding more teams to March Madness. And it's like, I love March Madness. It's where it needs to be. There's enough. There's enough teams in there. Like this Michigan State team, if they drop 3 and they still somehow make it in, there's teams that shouldn't make the tournament that do. And if they keep expanding stuff, it's just like you said, it's going to lose. It's going to lose its luster a little bit. I mean, we already talked about that. We don't care about college basketball basically till February.
Exactly.
Why do you start it in November, the heart of football season? Why do you start college basketball?
Well, and you're exactly. It's like you're right. The play, like I remember you just laid out Michigan State's like last 3 games. Think if this was before we had the play-in slots, where basically no matter what, let's say they lose these 3 games, they're 17-14, win a couple games in the Big Ten tournament. No, I think they're in.
Oh, they're in then. Okay.
They're I don't know if there's a world where they're not in. Like maybe I'm the idiot in the room. Tom Izzo is their coach. 17-14, they win a Big Ten tournament game, maybe 2. They're in. It's like, but because of the expansion, it's made these 3 regular season games down the stretch like almost meaningless. I'm over exaggerating a bit.
Yeah.
But, one of the other hot topics in college basketball, court storming. I've talked enough on this podcast. Do either of you guys have like a real strong leaning one way or another? I think people are sick of hearing me.
No, again, because with a lot of these things, you guys always know it. I always say it. I kind of fall down the middle. I always laugh when people get so mad about people who storm the court or when fans storm the court, because I just always think back to think when you were 18, 19, 20 years old in college, if you were at that game and your alma mater, you're the school that you went to had some big upset, you'd be on that court too. You would be on that football field too. You'd be storming the court too. Like, think about where you were when you were in college, how fun that would be to experience that. Now, again, back to the Waste Management Open. They need to have some sort of, I don't know what you do. You wait for the players to get off, because obviously you're referencing Duke and Wake Forest. Recently Wake Forest fans stormed the court, and one of the Duke players basically got trucked and got hurt. Whether he initiated the contact or not, that's debatable. But a Duke player got hurt basically when the opposing team the fans stormed the court. Do you try and wait until the players get off, and then it's just kind of weird? And you got to figure something out. Security, maybe you got to have security come out and at least let the players get to their sidelines. But storming the court is something cool about college sports to me. So no, I don't want to ban it, but you can't have players getting hurt because idiot college kids are running out there and running them over before they get to their sidelines.
Right. And the only reason we're talking about it is because, first of all, it was Caitlin Clark. We had that incident. And then this latest one with the Duke player, and, watching that, I'm thinking, well, you see all these people coming, man, protect yourself a little bit,
Right.
I mean, I would.
This is a hot take. Dude, it's notice how it's been this year. For one, this topic of court storming, it comes up at the same time every year.
Yeah,
because it's for guys like us. It's people who aren't necessarily following the nitty gritty to want to talk about Indiana State and their head coach Josh Schertz and the motion offense, where we drop in right around this time every year. It's an evergreen content. It's an evergreen topic. People have very strong opinions about it. Either they hate it or they love it, and that's why I love talking about it. And I'm going to fall for the bait right now, and I'm going to talk about it. These players who are getting quote unquote injured because of exactly what you said, Ted. That's everybody's first reaction watching those videos. They're storming the court. Why are you you have this tunnel vision where you're not aware of your surroundings, and it's leading to these, collisions. Right. And of course, every time they're hurt, they're getting carried off the court like they're a martyr. And then the results come back and they're playing the next game. They're totally fine. Right. I'm not saying people are faking. I'm not saying they're not faking, but I'm not going to come out and flat out say Caitlin Clark wanted to fake that injury to get some sort of sympathy after losing a game. I'm not going to go as far as saying that, but it is a little bit ironic that every time somebody gets hurt, they end up being fine. And and we've had years and years of court stormings. I've never heard of a serious injury ever happening. It's like, how much data do we need on these court stormings to know they're really not that dangerous? It's just kids having a good time. There's some bad apples in everything, like the Waste Management Open. But at the end of the day, this is such a great, great, iconic tradition that it would be a real shame if a Waste Management Open type solution is come about and we lose it. It's college kids having fun, man. There's going to be some injuries. Even if a player gets hurt, so be it. It happens. Don't lose the game. The ironic thing about court storming, usually it's because a top team gets upset. They come in flat. They're lackadaisical. You know, they take the other team for granted, and usually they learn their lesson the hard way, which is walking off the floor as the entire other team's fan base is storming it. Yeah, I hate people that are so anti it, and it doesn't seem like any of us are. Jay Billis was getting a lot of crap for everything he said. Yeah, he had reasons behind it that make sense. Jay Billis is a smart guy, but I just think it's something where he's a former player, maybe doesn't totally have the full 360 view of it. To me, it's a great tradition. Don't let a couple slightly, really not even that bad incidents happen and ruin it for everybody.
Well, it just kind of amazes me. Again, I'm not against it. I mean, it happens. It's exciting to watch, blah, blah, blah. But in a basketball game, you're the losing team. How long does it take you just to get to the sideline? How long does it take, when you got these fans piling out of the stands? Just get to the sideline and get with your team.
They never do.
And get out of there.
Yeah,
no, I don't.
I mean, to be fair, that Duke one, so there was, that play went literally down to the last second. So Filipowski, he was guarding the player at the end of the game. Right. And then where his sideline was, he was on the complete other end of the court. Right. I get what you're saying, like get to the sidelines, but like he literally couldn't get to the sidelines before the fans were on the court.
Gotcha.
He could have been a little more aware. He did actually truck one dude, and then he got hit from the side.
It did look kind of like he stuck his leg out too. I don't know if that was just the viewpoint or what it was.
It was kind of weird. Maybe they just need to figure out something like filter the fans away from the opposing bench or something. They got to figure something out.
Well, what they've done in pro games before, I've seen they have security comes out with the last minute of the game and they have a rope. They have the security guys line up along the court.
Right.
So you're saying you don't want court storming anymore? Then,
no, I'm just saying if it's that big a problem, there are ways to solve it.
Yeah, there's ways to solve, but it's solving it. I don't know if that's solving it. That's getting rid of it. That's not solving it.
Okay, again, just so I'm on the record, I'm okay with the court storming. I'm okay with it.
I don't. Yeah, but so like, what is let's 30 seconds here. Let's rack our brains. How do we solve this without losing court storming? I agree. I think it's something to do with security.
Yeah,
it's lame, like you said, Matt. You threw it out like, do they wait 30 seconds? The away team. That's a fair compromise. I don't love it. It's a little bit awkward. Kind of ruins the spontaneity of it.
Right.
But if people are that upset about it and it really is like a 50-50 split on people that don't want it, then I'm fine with that. Okay, you got to wait, a minute until you can storm the court. It's still going to be awesome when you do it. But I mean, Ted, you throwing out your suggestions like, okay, we never get Michigan, Ohio State 2021, Michigan storming the big house. Like that never happens. Because
I think the rope would just be to keep them away from the away bench. It's not keeping them off the court. But like just, so say Duke's bench is over here, run out a rope real quick, protect Duke's bench so their players can at least get over there. But let the fans come out and basically, you're kind of like you're funneling them over to the right spot. So it's just not complete chaos. And then, you've got kids getting run over. Mm-hmm. But because what would happen, say Filipowski was protecting himself, like you said, and say he threw an elbow to some dude's face and knocked him out. He'd probably be getting sued or something like that. And it's like, what do you want me to do? And
I will say, if that happened, I would be in agreement. Like it would be really a sorry fan if that happens. It for sure could have. If that did happen, I would be like, all right, get rid of it. We can't have it. People can't have fun anymore. This is the way we're headed in life and as a culture. We can't have fun anymore. If that did end up happening, I would be in agreement. We got to shut it down.
But you got to be impressed with how quick those fans got on the court. I will say that there was a shitload of fans.
It's awesome. Awesome. Again, it's so awesome. And I don't want to see it go away. I don't think it is. The NCAA, I think smartly is like, they need to address it in some way, I think. or it's just we got to get through this next week, get to March Madness, and then people shut up about it until next calendar year. We'll be on this podcast debating it again. I don't know.
You brought up Indiana State, and then Ted, you brought up the guy with the goggles.
Yep.
So Indiana State has a big dude that's kind of actually he's playing really well. Did you see what his nickname is?
I was just trying to remember it. What is it? It's great.
Cream Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah,
because he's a white dude. So Cream instead of Kareem Abdul Cream.
Perfect.
It's great.
It is all time.
So he's the type of dude. Like, I don't know if Indiana State's going to make the tournament, but he'd be a great storyline in March Madness if they win a couple games and make it to the second weekend. Like Loyola, and you think of some of those other teams that make a little bit of a Cinderella run. That'd be a cool story.
Perfect story. I'll tell you what, guys. Well, before you go, Jared, let's just take a quick pause. Then you can take back over.
This is going to be a surprise, I think, especially to you, Matt. It's crazy. I'm kind of excited to hear what your thoughts are on this because it's kind of so out of left field. JJ McCarthy, he will be a stud in the NFL. I've come all the way full circle on this guy. The good quote that really sold me, and this is aged a bit, but Jim Harbaugh basically on Colin Cowherd's show, he says, he's got arm talent, he's got athleticism, he's got the it factor. This is the line that I love. He loves winning with numbing repetition. If you guys remember, it's like all those games we saw. It's like, man, like what the hell? They're not throwing the ball. Right. They got him, in handcuffs. Think of that. That's it reminds me a lot of how we bitched about JJ McCarthy. How people are bitching about Booker with Michigan State. No, Jim Harbaugh clearly knows a thing or two, and this kid was willing to believe in what Jim Harbaugh was telling him, and just say, hey, if you don't have to be the star of the show, you can let other players shine. Your offensive line, your running backs, your tight ends. We're going to win a national championship. He did that. 27-1 career record as a starter. He's like 22 years old, just turned 22.
Yeah.
He's going to be a stud. I'm planting my flag on the JJ McCarthy Island. His draft stock is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
I remember when people threw out he's going to be a first-round pick, I laughed at it. What? No, he's probably going to be a top 10 pick. It's all about where you land. But if he finds a situation where he can sit for a year, I really do think that JJ McCarthy is going to be a starter. I'm not going to say he's going to win a Super Bowl. You never know. That's a hot take. But he's going to be a starter in this league and a key contributor for a playoff level team for 10 plus years to come. I really do think McCarthy's the real deal. I've come full circle on him. He's legit. McCarthy, the guy.
No, 100%. And and Harbaugh said it in one of his interviews. He did so many after he took the Chargers job. He said, don't be surprised if McCarthy's the first quarterback taken off the board. It's been for like 2 years. It's been a foregone conclusion. There's going to be Caleb Williams and Drake May, and then maybe some other guys sprinkled in there. And McCarthy, one thing about him too, he's basically never lost. If you want to go all the way down to high school, he's basically never lost a game that he started. And the athleticism, he's young, like you said, given that he's been at Michigan for 3 years, but he was really young when he came to Michigan. So he's still got some room to grow. We've seen all the throws. Everyone knows that they rely on the run. They're a power run team. So everyone that says like, oh, he didn't do anything, all it was handing off to Blake Corum. It's like, well, you didn't really watch Michigan then, because when he had to throw, he really did throw, and he made NFL throws every game. It just wasn't. They didn't ask him to throw the ball 40 times like Caleb Williams was, or, some of the, CJ Stroud at Ohio State. So that's why McCarthy doesn't have those crazy numbers. Anyone who watched JJ McCarthy, legitimately watched, knows how good he is. He's an incredible quarterback. Michigan, I don't know if we're ever going to see a quarterback like that again at Michigan, who could run, who could pass, like you said, Jared, who was cool, taking a back seat, two really good running backs, didn't want to be like, no, I got to pump my numbers for the NFL. I don't know if we're ever going to see a quarterback like that again at Michigan. So no, I'm with you. I think he's going to be great. But like you said, and we all know, it's all about where you get drafted, the situation, the coach, is the offensive line good? NFL is such a crapshoot, So I hope he lands somewhere that is. I almost hope he doesn't go to the Chargers. Some people are throwing that out. Right. Harbaugh should go get him. I feel like it'd be setting up too weird of a scenario.
Not only that, Herbert's still a good quarterback and still young too.
What's funny is, and this would suck, I think the perfect spot for him is the Minnesota Vikings. I really do.
If they bring back Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. I think that's a great spot for him. And you know what's funny to me is you look at Tom Brady's career. I'm not comparing JJ McCarthy to Tom Brady, but when McCarthy needed plays, we made the drive against Bama, the couple real sweet plays he made against Washington down the stretch. Think about Tom Brady and some of those Super Bowl wins that he had and the clutch plays where it's 10-10 and you just need one drive and he would get you that one drive to win the game. Similar like Patrick Mahomes this past year. Yep. It's you don't have to throw 400 yards every game. You just need to, when it matters, you need to make it count. Yep. And McCarthy is that. So Matt, I'm just going to give you kudos. You were on the train from the start.
Yep.
I never was. I'm jumping on it late. I'll take credit like I was on it the whole way, but McCarthy, I love him. I really think he's going to be a stud.
The one thing McCarthy will do too is he's going to knock out every interview at the combine, every NFL draft interview with coaches. Because of course I don't know him personally, but everything you hear, everything we do see on TV and all that kind of stuff, he's such a good interview, seems mature, knows his role. Like you said, he just wants to win. He's not all about his stats. You know, he's all about his mental health and all that stuff. So it seems like he's really gonna, when they start grilling him with those questions at the draft, people are going to fall in love with him and be like, dude, we got to get this guy on our team. Yeah. Even if they do have a Kirk Cousins or maybe a veteran quarterback, they might think man, let's get him in and let him learn for a year or two the NFL, and then he's going to be ready. So
do you think the Minnesota take? I like that, playing a year behind Cousins. That playing indoors. He seems like he's probably a little bit better of an indoor quarterback. I mean, I don't know. He played at Michigan outdoors, but still, he seems like that for the NFL. Any other teams that would jump out? Maybe the Steelers or somebody like that.
I know that people have said the Raiders, because the Raiders have a top 10 pick and they've got they've got Garoppolo and a couple, some veteran guys that he could maybe sit behind for a year.
If Garoppolo comes back to be the starter, don't they have O'Connell stepped in last year?
Yeah.
But maybe JJ could beat him out.
Right. Yeah, to me, it's just a place where, and this almost never happens, so it's kind of like wishful thinking, but it's just wherever he can go where he doesn't have to start immediately.
Yeah.
Right. Just wherever that is, I don't know. Usually that tends to be a better team that's a little bit better of a franchise.
Right.
So just wherever that opportunity would be. I mean, that's any quarterback's dream, unless you're a Caleb Williams or, number one overall pick. But it's not always like CJ Stroud where you just roll into the NFL and start lighting it up.
Right.
Peyton Manning struggled his first year as a rookie. So to me, just get him a place where he can sit for a year, learn, mature. I mean, he's still so young. I mean, Penix is 2-3 years older than him. So just give him time to develop, man.
Well, where do we stand? This is bizarre. It's in Michigan. Detroit Lions sit behind Goff for a year or two. No.
Kind of say I'm gonna have the same. I'm gonna have the same take. Yep. Even though Hutchinson clearly worked out, I'm gonna have the same take. I don't want him coming to Detroit where half of the fan base is already gonna hate him, and because you still see people saying that Hutchinson's a bust if he has a game where he doesn't have any sacks. Oh, Hutchinson's a bust. I don't know. I'm always keep the.
So
Michigan
you're thinking that's because
away.
of the Michigan haters, the University of Michigan haters? Is that basically it? Okay.
Yeah. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree with you 100%, Matt. That would be a toxic environment that he's walking into. Half of the people still think Goff is the guy. Everybody would be kind of pissed where this is a win now team and we drafted a quarterback of the future. No, that's a toxic culture that it would go up in flames. I don't care if it's freaking Tom Brady walk through those doors. That would be a horrible fit.
Yeah. I had to throw it out there. I'm just thinking, would I want JJ McCarthy or Herndon?
I would be I'm sold on McCarthy or Hooker. You mean? Yeah,
Hooker.
No, 100%. I take McCarthy over him. Yeah. But it's just even I would be like, dude, this is not smart. This is just tempting fate. I've been a Goff guy the whole way. Jared Goff's a damn good quarterback.
Yeah.
And it's just the fact that Michigan State fans would hate him already. Michigan fans would be on edge about it. I don't know about this. No, it just would not work. And it's funny you say that. I've seen mock drafts where they have the Lions, picking in the late 20s.
Right.
I think McCarthy's draft stock has gone way up past that, but where I've seen that as a landing spot for him. So who knows? Could happen, but I don't think it's smart.
Okay, fair enough.
Interesting.
Well, let's keep rolling along, boys. We got a lot of stuff to finish up here. The Red Wings, we got to talk about the Red Wings. I mean, we've posted a few things. We're kind of casual fans. Jared's in the middle of it more, working at Bally, but they've been hot. I've got it on my TV right now. I don't know if they won or lost. No, it looks like they lost 5-3 to the Islanders. So their 6-game win streak is over, but man, this last week when they had Chelios night in Chicago and Patrick Kane scored that game winner. I mean, that kind of brought me right to the Red Wings. I'm on board. I'm watching them the rest of the year. I'm going to be ready for the playoffs. I mean, it's time.
Well, it's playoff hockey, and like you said, they were on a 6-game win streak, and that boosted them right up to number 1 in the wild card. So they'll be in the playoffs, and so it's cool to think about Little Caesars Arena actually getting to host. I know the Pistons made it one time with Blake Griffin, but that doesn't really even count. It'll be cool for Little Caesars Arena to actually have playoff hockey. You know, you think about Joe Louis Arena was so cool back in the day. No, the Red Wings and hockey, what's crazy about hockey playoffs, there's always like the favorites, the teams that have been at the top of their conference the whole season. Playoff hockey, anyone can win legitimately. I mean, if you get a hot goalie or the Pistons or the Red Wings right now are on a roll, they could go into the playoffs and make a little noise. Playoff hockey is really strange, and it's amazing to watch. So now is time to start watching the Red Wings.
Yep.
I don't know shit about hockey, but this team seriously seems to have some like magic to them. The type of team where you like kind of like the Lions last year, where you're like, just get into the playoffs and like you're gonna feel good like heading into these games. Something is gonna break your way where you're gonna win these ball games, and that's how I feel. I mean, that Patrick Kane Chicago game. I mean, I think they've won like crazy amount of overtime games this year, like that 16 win streak. I think 2-3 overtime winners in that streak. That final play, the way it unfolded. I mean, that was like there's certain moments that it's like you can't script them any better. I mean, I remember like Jeter. When he had his 3,000 hit, it was a home run. He went like 5 for 5 that day.
Yeah.
You know, Miggy's final out at first base just recently. I mean, there's a ton more to mention. Jordan's the shot, you know, basically at that time ended his career finals win with a legendary shot. The way that happened where all of a sudden the camera pans and you see it's Patrick Kane all alone on Chris Chelios' retirement night. Two guys who have had kind of a similar career where they played for both the Blackhawks and the Red Wings.
Right.
And are legends for both of them. The way he scored it, yelling to the crowd, showtime after he made it. When Patrick Kane originally was signed, again, I know nothing about hockey. I was saying like, hey, I don't know if I would have messed with the feng shui of this young locker room. You know, this is a veteran, you know, kind of messing up everything. They lost a lot of games right in a row, right when he got signed by the Red Wings. No, he's legit. He's iconic, man. I mean, that moment, just wow. Ken Daniels and Mickey Redmond, no surprise, legendary call. Yeah. Just hard not to get, you know, totally swept in this Red Wings team. And I'm starting to come around, man. I'm starting to watch some hockey. Never thought I'd say it. Baseball, never thought I'd say about baseball. That got me. Now the Red Wings, when you know it, now the Red Wings got me. Hockey.
Well, it's paying off with Stevie, man. I mean, the headline in the Argus Press this week was the AZee plan, and it's true. He's got him going in the right direction. I mean, he got Kane for really peanuts in the NHL for the type of star he is, 2.75 a year. He'll be a free agent after this year, but I think they're going to do everything they can to sign him for maybe a 2-year extension, and he's going to be a key factor. It kind of has that feeling back to the, you know, the early 2000s a little bit, you know, how they built that team and had some veterans. Even the guy like Chelios, he won 2 Stanley Cups with Detroit.
I mean, we talk about Memorial Healthcare. Dude, Chris Chelios, he looks like he's like 30 years old.
And he's 62.
And perfect tan. God, dude, he looks like he could play in the NHL tomorrow. What an awesome guy. He's probably my favorite all-time Red Wing. I don't know anything about him other than his great retirement speech, which I think was like 35 minutes long. Shouted out Patrick Kane, said you're going to be up here next. You're the number 1 U.S.-born hockey player. Right. Gotta love Chris Chelios. Just seems like an all-time guy. Rolled around in Michael Jordan's Rat Pack back in the day. I mean, just seems like a legend.
Yep.
Go Red Wings. And finally, you know, we're getting pretty close, boys, to Tiger baseball. I've been kind of checking out some things here in spring training, looking at their potential, their roster. You know, I think they're going to be knocking on the door for the playoffs. It's all going to depend on the pitching, but they got a couple of new kids that, you know, could help. Always optimistic this time of year, I guess.
Always optimistic. And one thing, you know, we all love Miggy. He's my favorite Tiger ever. Probably will be for a really long time. But it's also good to kind of move on from that. You know, Miggy, you know, you move on from that whole farewell tour and all that kind of stuff. The franchise can move on and all that and get some other guys playing. He wasn't playing a whole lot there at the end of his career, but you know, you can move on.
Right.
It's all about health. We know that. That's what it's been the last few years with the Tigers, whether it's pitching, whether it's Torkelson, Riley Green, any of these guys. They got to stay healthy, and they got to hope that those guys take the next step. I mean, at some point, you got to become superstars if you want to actually, turn into a legitimate contender. One thing they have is they had the best record in the AL Central against AL Central opponents. They had the best record in the division. So I don't know. They play well against teams in the Central. That's a positive, but you got to play
better managers. AJ's a solid manager.
I think so. He's the favorite to win AL Manager of the Year, plus 550.
Oh wow! How about that?
Keep an eye on it.
I think a lot of people are thinking the Tigers might be that Cinderella team this year. But
I'm drinking it. If there was Tiger Kool-Aid, it's orange. I'm drinking it. Like I said, AJ plus 550 win Manager of the Year. I think Tarek Skubal. I saw a Bleacher Report, just a graphic they posted today. Basically, he was number one on their quote unquote surprise player of the year award. Number one. I think he's due for a big year. He's top 100 pitching already. He's upped his velo. He's healthy. He had a full offseason to be healthy and come back. I think he's going to be a real ace for the Tigers. And I tell you what, I don't know how the schedule will align with AJ. If he's pitching opening day at Comerica Park, I think he's going to go like 7 scoreless innings. He just seems to rise to the occasion. Spencer Torkelson, he showed so much to me last year. 31 homers. Been through like more struggles and doubt and negativity from a fan base than just about any player I've ever seen. He got out of it and he seems to be better for it. I think he's an all-star. Maybe not this year, but within the next 2 years. That's my hot take of the day. I think Torkelson's going to be an all-star either this year or next year. I think he's got the makings of a star that you're talking about, man. I think it could be him. I really do. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Like I said, I think this is another hot take. Javi Baez. You look at his numbers last year.
Yeah, you had that hot take last year, but let's see where it's at this year.
Hey, I also threw out their over-under. It was my lock of the year, and they hammered the over. I think it was like set at 69, and they ended up with 78 wins or something like that.
I'll give you that one.
You were all in on Jonathan Scope last year also, and we know how.
That was that was an ice cold take on the rating scale. One, I'll just say this: Chris Fetter, comp to him, he's the Tigers pitching coach. Yeah. He is similar to Ben Johnson, where you just need to keep him no matter what it takes, no matter what the money takes. He is the equivalent of the Lions' Ben Johnson. Pitchers are coming here. I mean, we saw it last year with Michael Lorenzen. Came in, all-star. Next thing you know, he's an all-star. Leaves, not even in the ending rotation for a playoff team that he got traded to. I'm blanking on who he went to. But anyway, Javi Baez, 222 last year with 9 home runs. I think he might get close to 20 home runs this year, and I think he's going to up his average. He's never going to be an average player. He's going to strike out a ton. But I've said it once. I'll say it again. Game on the line, season on the line. There's not many players I'd rather see than Javi Baez at the plate. Guy has a magic factor to him. I really think he's due for a good year. From what I've heard, he trained basically with the Tigers all offseason, which is not something he's done in the past. He was just given Miguel Cabrera's locker. Hey, I'm riding the positivity train. I think there's something to be said with Javi Baez this year. I think he's going to have his best season thus far with the Tigers, which isn't a high bar to clear, but I think it will be a great year for his standards. I'm really excited to see it. AJ Hinch, last thing I'll say, AJ Hinch, man, manager of the year, plus 550, lock it in. The way he handled the Javi Baez benching situation last year and how that didn't turn from a molehill into a mountain, I don't know. Speaks everything I need to know about his managing techniques and the way those guys view him in the locker room. I'm all in. I can't wait for Tigers baseball.
I'm ready for it too, but I hope the one thing that Baez learned when he was getting all this coaching up to lay off that low outside pitch away from the plate. I mean, I saw that enough last year, man. You got to lay off that pitch. You got to
lay off the pitch that's in the dirt. Yeah, you don't. If it bounces in the dirt, maybe don't swing. Torkelson's got to cut down on the strikeouts too. I mean, he will be an all-star at some point. But man, when you strike out as much as he does, it's going to be tough. Like Adam Dunn, there was a dude. I don't know if you remember, Jared. Ted, you probably do.
I know the name, but I know the name.
Adam Dunn would hit 50, 55 home runs a year, but he'd also strike out 255 times or whatever a year. So I was like, all right, it's hard to take him seriously. Torkelson, he's got a good glove too. He's good in the field. So they got to take the next step. They got to stay healthy.
Let's go Tigers. All right. Do you guys got anything else to get on the table here? I think we've carried on long enough. I mean, I hope everybody enjoyed the Jared show today. It was fun.
Fired up. we can't take a week off again, man.
It's all good, Jared. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We want to thank our partners, including Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. Talk to a rep or go online, see what the discounts are they offer, available memberships. Get healthy, get in shape. Details at memorialhealthcare.org. Also want to thank our partners, AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. Friday night, District Action on Z92.5 The Castle and Z92.5.com. It's the Chesaning Indians looking to improve to 24-0, taking on the 14-9 Ovid LC Marauders. So hopefully you can check that out. And if you don't, go check out some high school basketball. Maybe check out Freeland and Arthur Hill. That's going to be a good one too. That'll do it, everybody. Peace and love. Be kind. Thanks for listening.